This is the point in the program that I introduce our guest analyst, who will give us his personal take on the news and issues of the day. And tonight, I'm joined in the studio by the current affairs analyst and professor of communications at Baze University in Abuja, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. Good to see you.
Thank you, Charles. Good evening.
Let's get straight into it with our first guest, Senator Dino Melaya, who is the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Kogi State. Fiery, as always, confident, but also with a rather ominous underlying warning about anybody daring to attack his team, because the suggestion being that he'll give as much as he gets.
It's political season in Kogi State. Kogi State is an off-cycle election, and naturally, somehow, the state is likely going to be a flashpoint, one of the states among the three states that will attract attention more, because of the personalities involved on the APC side, on the PDP side. And of course, just like we have at the national level, we also have a third force now, in my opinion, represented in the SDP candidate, who I understand is also very potent. But the APC is the ruling party, obviously the party to beat because of the power of incumbency, I beg your pardon, and of course the fact that the governor also is exhibited as a man with lots of charisma. It can also be gongo. Remember, he called himself a lion at a time. I'm very confident in what he does, and we have him here supporting a candidate. And we also have Dino, another very strong character, somebody who is naturally very confident, who is multi-dimensional in everything that he does. Like you mentioned, he can put his hand in different things at the same time and almost succeeding at them. Now you could see him largely absent in national politics in the center because he's concentrating in Kogi State. But it's going to be a tough election overall in Kogi State. But I don't know, it might be very unpalatable for us to make a definite call now, but I do know that Kogi State is going to be a major flashpoint, that will attract our attention at the end of the day. And of course, after the election, there will also be all kinds of drama in the post-election stage. But we'll wait and see, Charles.
Yes, but in terms of your assessment of the changes he plans to bring into Kogi State if he wins, what is your assessment?
You can't fault any one of them in terms of plans. They always have very good, wonderful plans, considering the potentials of the state, rich in oil, mineral resources, the gateway to the north, and of course the topography is also very suitable. Historically, the state is well situated.
It's also a big agricultural state, isn't it?
Confluence state, with mountains, ranges, farmlands, etc., irrespective of the threat of crime. The potentials are enormous, and even there's a young man who is also contesting on the AAC ticket, I think, who has also come up with very robust ideas around how he can transform the state. At the level of ideas, their candidates are not short in ideation and intellection, but overall, most of the time what happens is delivery. The distance or the problem is always delivery, execution. But we just hope that whoever wins at the end of the day will be able to match action with words.
So you expect it to be a fairly violent affair?
I think we'll have to reinvest our hope in INEC. If INEC is able to do a very good job in Kogi State, be able to improve on the downsides recorded in the general election using through the prism of the off-cycle election, Kogi State particularly, there's increased transparency, increased accountability. BVAS works very well, IREF works very well, and of course observers rate the processes high. From what they see, I think the challenges might be reduced. Really, violence might also be reduced again if security agencies also up the ante. Realizing that this time they are not spreading their capacity is just concentrated in 3 states. So if there's a great level of focus in Kogi State, remember anytime we're having an off-season election, they will tell you that 35 men are going to Kogi State, 36,000 men are going to Bayelsa State. I expect that this time around we're going to see that kind of number being mobilized to Kogi State. So the security agencies, as a critical stakeholder in the process, if they are able to, if they are speak and span, diligent, dedicated, I think the level of rancor might be reduced because it will be obvious for all of us to see, and whoever is contesting or whoever is protesting, at the end of the day, when the result is finally declared, we can also come to a clear judgment on whether or not the person is just being empty in the noise they are making.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
but let's
absolutely.
turn to another area where there's been considerable violence, the intractable problem of the Israelis versus the Palestinians in the Middle East. We heard Professor Hawash there earlier from Birmingham in the UK putting up the case for the Palestinians. He represents the Palestine Solidarity campaign, but it just seems like, it's one thing that it just looks like the Israelis fully intend to pound Gaza into submission. And to be honest with you, that's a very worrying thing.
Yeah, it's worrying and very, very disturbing, and something they may probably not achieve, because no matter how right they are, or no matter how you may say, they are, how justified you think they are, it's often very difficult, and history has proved it, that minds can sometimes matter over matter. The Israelis have been physical, but these fellows also have that determination to resist them. And in having that determination, you can see them coming out, using scorched earth tactics to deal with them. They hit and they run, guerrilla tactics, and they have been very consistent at this. So when Israelis seems to be at peace, they now strike. When they put up, irrespective of the amount of force that they put before them, they keep striking. So how do we resolve this? It just means that you cannot paper over this crack. A permanent solution has to be found. I saw the professor mention two-state solution.
Yeah.
Yes, but two-state solution didn't just start yesterday. It's been recommended since 1948, after all the wars that we've been having. Why is it that we've not been able to realize this? Perhaps there is hypocrisy somewhere on behalf of influential international organizations, mainly led by influential nations that are subtly or loudly supportive of the Israelis. The Israelis are right in any case to react, but the reaction is unfortunately not commensurate, obviously, with the level of provocation that we witness in the first instance. Even though when it comes to human life, you cannot really measure it, with some of these illustrations that we're talking about. But essentially, we are seeing the death of reason in the Middle East. And of course, how do you revive it? You can only revive it through the intervention of a third party. And the third party we expect now is the international community.
Okay. Prof, thank you very much indeed. Professor Abiodun Adeniyi is a current affairs analyst and professor of communications at Baze University in Abuja. That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja and Birmingham, bye-bye and thank you for watching.